Hello everybody and welcome to another Mystery Box Function Challenge. In the purple mystery box there is some mystery math and your challenge is to find out what that is. You can do that by pausing the video, clicking on the link in the description and putting in as many numbers as you like in the top and see how they come out transformed at the bottom. When you've got a good guess about what's inside the mystery box, come on back and see if I get what you get. All right, let's begin. I'm going to put in a 0. 0 gives us 1. Let's try a 1. So 1 gives us -1. So this might be a line with a negative slope of -2. Let's try a 2. Oh, it is definitely not giving us -3 there. So that's a -1 point blah 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 blah, almost -2. Let's try. Actually, I have a suspicion about this one now. Just looking at the shape of that curve, and it could be several things, but I'm going to put in a 4 here. Maybe you know what I'm thinking. So 4 gives a whole number answer, -3. And I'm thinking if I put in a 9, I'm going to get a whole number answer too. That gives us a -5. Aha. So this may not be totally obvious to you yet, but the reason I put in 4 and 9 and thought I might get whole number answers is because I think this has something to do with the square root function. And it's the shape of that curve, that sort of pretty steep curve at the beginning and then getting more gentle as you go further out. That's what gave me that clue. The way to confirm that this is a square root, has something to do with the square root, is try to put in a negative number. So I'm going to put in a -1 and see what happens. Yeah, and I'm getting the error from the computer that that's not a number. So any negative value I put in is going to come out as not a number. So this, I think, is a square root function, but it's had some stuff done to it because the square root of 9 is not -5, not in any way, shape, or form. So what is going on with this one? Well, the first thing I notice is that it's upside down. Usually the square root function looks like this up here. This is upside down. And the answers we're getting out here, most of the answers are negative, and you can't get a negative result from a square root unless you put in that function, you put the negative in front of it. So I think there's a negative sign, and I'm going to start sketching out the function here. I think there's a negative sign at the beginning, and I'm going to put a radical sign in here, and I don't know what else there is. Is there a multiplier? Maybe there is. Is there something else going on? Definitely. This is the wrong place for the sort of the beginning of the function, or what I think of as the beginning of the function. If this was just the square root of x, or even just negative the square root of x, if I put in a 0, I should get out of 0. It looks like we're up 1 from the origin. So I think this has been, actually, let me go ahead and put an x in there. This has been raised up 1. So I think we're adding 1. Now, is that the whole thing? Let's test with 4. So the square root of 4 would be 2, and then I take a negative of that. That would be -2 plus 1 would be 1. So if I put in 4, I should get 1, but I get -3. And this does look sort of like steeper. It's a steeper slope, especially at the beginning here, than I'm used to on a square root function. So maybe we're multiplying by a larger number, not a fraction, but like a 2 or a 3. And I'm just going to try a 2, see what happens. I think that's reasonable to do. So let's put in that 4 again. So if I put in 4, we take the square root, we multiply it by a -2, and we add 1. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. -2 times 2 is -4, plus 1 would be -3. Aha, so we got that. Does that work for a 9? So square root of 9 would be 3. -2 times 3 would be -6, plus 1 would be -5. Yeah, that's exactly what we're getting. Why don't we predict one more? So what would happen if I put in a 16? That's an easy one because we know the square root of 16. Well, 16, square root of 16 is 4, times a -2 is -8, plus 1 would be -7. So if I put in 16, I should get -7. That won't show up on our graph, but we can see the number and verify that way. Yep, 16 gives us -7. That clinches it for me. I think we're done. Let's go ahead and reveal. Yeah, so that's a -2 times the square root of x, and then +1 to raise that function up 1 unit. And we can go ahead and graph that as well. Yeah, there's that beautiful tapering curve for the square root function, just flipped upside down, made a little steeper, and translated up 1 unit. Well, I think that was a toughie. We're having a lot of tough ones this week. How did that go for you? Were you able to get it? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.